Welcome back, Devils fans, for an emergency press conference coming to you live from the depths of hell. The 23-24 New Jersey Devils are in deep, deep trouble. As you know, we got completely embarrassed by a score of 5-1 last night by the New York Rangers on our home ice at the Prudential Center, and an absolutely gutless, unacceptable performance, and things need to change. But since my video last night, a couple things I was thinking about, and I'd like to follow up with this emergency press conference, being that we are all in hell right now. A couple things I'd like to address. Number one, first and foremost, some of you Ranger fans coming here to chirp us in the comments, you guys are completely and utterly delusional. Congratulations on a regular season win in February. Congratulations. My hat goes off to you. Call me when you win a Stanley Cup. For you to come here and the little Debbies and little brother and all the nonsense, the fact is this: we are the better franchise. We have won 3 cups since your last cup in 1994. So keep hanging on to the Messier days and retiring everyone's jersey from that team. You won a cup in 1994. This June, it is 30 years old. I repeat, your last cup was 30 years old. Since then, the New Jersey Devils have won a cup in 1995, in 2000, and 2003. We have 3 Stanley Cup championships since your most recent one. Furthermore, we knocked you out of the playoffs in the 2012 Eastern Conference Finals and just knocked you out again last year in a beautiful 7-game series in which you led 2-0 and blew the lead when Akira Schmid came in and just dominated you with an all-time epic series performance. So with all of that being said, I would love to know what planet you delusional clowns live on that your little Debbie's little brother and this and that, da-da-da. You guys are trash. You've been trash. You squandered a Hall of Fame goaltender in Henrik Lundqvist. You squandered his entire career and could only win the Eastern Conference to show for it. No cups for Lundqvist. Your team has been a non-factor since the Messier days. So keep watching those highlights in 94 and, this one will last a lifetime. It's got to last a lifetime because you're never going to win again. So enjoy your 1994 championship. Many of you talking shit in the comments weren't even born for that. So I guess your daddies and mommies told you about it and you relived the glory days on YouTube. You've never seen a championship and you probably never will. So I just like to get that order of business taken care of right off the top here. The chirps from Ranger fans are completely hilarious. You won a regular season game, and you guys are talking about like you're some dynasty. You've won nothing in 30 years. So congratulations to all of you for a regular season win in February. Let me know when you guys win a cup. I'll be waiting. And that brings me, and now that I've taken care of that, I'm on to my next issue of business here. And my next issue of business is Lindy Ruff's post-game press conference was absolutely disgraceful. How dare you, Lindy Ruff, have the audacity and the balls to blame the media for the Devils' atrocious power play. Absolutely atrocious power play. And I'll read you the quote. Lindy said, "When you're struggling, and I imagine you've asked every player, now they're feeling it." And then he followed it up with, "You guys are creating excess pressure." Excess pressure? Bro, you're a professional coach in the NHL. You get paid millions of dollars to coach athletes that get also paid millions of dollars, and these media members are just doing their job. I understand it's not a fun part of your job to talk to the media when your team is sucking and your power play is performing at all-time historic bad levels over the last couple months, but that's part of your job, buddy. So you go face the fire. That's what you get paid the big bucks for, and these reporters are just trying to do their jobs. And you have the audacity to blame them for the power play sucking. The power play sucks because the power play sucks. We're making extra passes. We're hesitant to shoot. Everyone looking for the perfect play. We just got to start firing pucks on net, and you have to do more to change up the personnel. I still love Lindy, but it's time for him to go. A lot of you guys are bloodthirsty in the comments, and I respect that. A lot of passionate fans watch the videos and chime in, and I respect the passion. A lot of you were calling for Lindy's head way earlier than I would have. I tend to, let these things play out a little bit more, but a lot of people were calling for his head like very early. I wasn't starting to move towards that movement until the thing blew up with Novo when asked about Holtz in conjunction with Holtz not getting playing time. Alexander Holtz has great advanced stats, 5-on-5, had a ton of goals 5-on-5, a lot of them coming in crucial times to either tie the game or give the team the lead. And basically, he's in Ruff's doghouse. You know, he makes one little mistake and gives up a chance that doesn't go in, and Ruff staples him to the bench in a game that he scored the game-tying goal. And he seemed to have been the whipping boy all season, getting limited ice. And it's just a baffling thing. A lot of people see the potential in Holtz, including the reporter that asked the question, and Ruff didn't like it. And then he went a step further and told Novo that he doesn't see the game well. Not only does he kind of dismiss this thing, he throws an insult. Be a professional, man. I understand you don't want to be up there. I wouldn't want to either, but that is your job, and that's what you get paid for. Stand there and face the music. And I don't think it's that crazy of a question to ask why Holtz wasn't getting more ice time, because everyone wants to know that. So he's asking the question that all of the fans want to know. The people that pay the money to go see the team that indirectly pays your salary have the same questions. And so he wanted to know. Totally fair question. Ruff lost a lot of points in my book for that, but not the end of the world. But then as the season goes on and constant line shuffling, Holtz still not getting minutes, Timo Meier being played at his off wing, what is it going to take to get Timo Meier at his natural spot of right wing? The reason we traded for him was all the success he had at right wing. We extended him to a long-term deal. All of this was because of his performance in San Jose as a right winger. And I just don't understand why we keep forcing it on the left. It's clearly not working. 1 game, 2 game, 3 games, fine. I can see it. We have the sample size. He's not effective on the left side. And not to make excuses, I'm a Timo defender because this is only year 1 of an 8-year deal. He's obviously not living up to his contract right now, but I believe he could be given better circumstances. And those circumstances being playing his natural position of right wing with some better line mates and maybe getting parked out in front of the net on the power play. He seems to get, garbage time on the power play as it's expiring with 20 seconds, 30 seconds left after the first unit comes off at best. And he's being misutilized. Utilize him the proper way. On the right side, give him power play time and put him with top-notch players. And I believe you'll see a better Timo Meier. But I do believe he's still playing hurt. And again, that's not an excuse. That's just the reality. I do believe he's banged up. I think Jack Hughes is still banged up. And I think there's probably some other guys hiding injuries too. All of the injuries combined with the unwillingness to adapt by lindyruff and horrific goaltending is the reason we are in the hole we are in right now. Last night, I proclaimed the season over. I still believe that's the case. Obviously, it's not over till it's over, and statistically, we are still alive. But if there's not major sweeping changes, nothing's going to change. We look at the stats now. There are the current standings, and we have 60 points with 2 games in hand on Tampa Bay, who's in the second wildcard spot with 65. Again, not insurmountable. Tampa Bay is trying their hardest to give us their spot. We are not seizing the moment and taking it. And why are we not taking it? This team came out last night with 0 passion, 0 intensity. The Rangers came into our building with a game plan, and they punched us in the mouth, and they did it over and over again, and they broke our will. Completely broke our will, kicked our ass up and down the ice, and games like this are, or at least should be, a complete wake-up call. If this was the Lou Lamoriello era, I promise you on everything, if Lindy made it this far, today Lou would be giving a press conference about how lindyruff is now gone, and more than likely, in the interim, Lou may have went behind the bench. Or promoted one of the assistants, possibly. But Lou Lamoriello, say what you want about him, was the architect of the Devils dynasty, and his trigger finger on coaches was always itchy. He's fired coaches when we were playing well, in a playoff spot, and a lot of people criticize him for it, and it's panned out, and we won a cup of it. Robbie Ftorek was fired in the 2000 season. We were well in a playoff berth, and Robbie got shown the door. Larry Robinson takes over, and everyone knows we go on a storybook run, including coming back from down 3-1 in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Philadelphia Flyers, winning in 7 games. Scott Stevens lays out Lindros. Patty Elias gets a late goal in the third period. Devils win, go on to the finals, and defeat the Dallas Stars. Storybook stuff. But my point here is, during the Lou days, these coaching inefficiencies and nonsense would not have flown. If, like I said, Lindy probably would have got fired before this point. But if he had made it to last night, Lou Lamoriello was having a press conference today announcing that Lindy Ruff is no longer the head coach of the New Jersey Devils, and the coach would either be him or an assistant promoted interim coach, something like that. But Lou would not have stood for this, and Fitzgerald shouldn't either. But the reality is, Fitzgerald compounded the problems of Lindy Ruff. And so while Lindy is misutilizing players, playing Jack at wing when he's not playing center, Timo on the left side when it's painfully obvious he should be on the right side, underutilizing Holtz, all of these things combined with Fitzgerald's reluctance to get us a real goalie for months now is why we're in the spot we're in now. Why we're in the spot we are in now. And with all these deficiencies, I believe with a average NHL goaltender, we would still be a playoff team. I'm not saying we're going on a deep run, but a lot of these things can be kind of glazed over or hidden with a real goalie. We haven't had one all season. The goalie carousel of the past decade continues on. And so last season, and one of my buddies made this point today, which is interesting really to think about. Last season, we went into the season with basically Vitek and Blackwood as our 1 and 2 or 1 and 1A, however you want to call it, with Akira Schmid being the third goaltender on the depth chart, right? Third goes into the season as a third string. The season ends, and essentially Akira Schmid was the starter, essentially. So whenever you start a season and you go throughout the whole year into the playoffs and your third stringer becomes a starter, that's problematic, right? And the same thing has happened again this year. We started off the year with Vitek and Schmid being 1 and 1A, and as it stands right now, Nico Dawes is essentially the starter, and he was the third stringer. So this is really clearly painting the portrait of a goaltending issue that has been going on in this franchise for a decade now, outside of that year and a half or 2 years of Corey Schneider when he had really good outings and it was wasted on a really bad Devils team. If we had that Corey Schneider right now, we'd be cup contenders, even with the bad defensive play and all the nonsense going on. With that Corey Schneider, we could go win the cup. It's possible. I'm not saying we'd be favorites, but I certainly wouldn't say it's not possible, because with that level of goaltending, it would be. What we're getting in net right now is so far removed from that, it's deplorable and it's despicable. And so, you know, as these games go on, this weekend's going to tell us a lot. We have 2 games this weekend. And I think, you know, going 2-0 prolongs the agony and gives false hope and that we could maybe make a run. Going 0-2 essentially would end it. And I think if we went 1-1 or 1-0-1, either 2 or 3 points out of the 4, we're probably in a similar spot that we're in right now, which is on the outside looking in, and it's not looking good, obviously. But something needs to change. I don't know what Fitzgerald's waiting for. At this point, I do believe the Markstrom ship has sailed. I'm not making a deal for Markstrom anymore, because a heavy component of obtaining him would be for this season. And this season's very iffy at this moment. And so Markstrom, for me, because of his age, I'm no longer interested. And I am now going all in on Juusesaros, folks. Younger goaltender, would give us stability in net for years to come, assuming he resigns, and I would like to make that part of the deal if I was to trade for him. And unfortunately, we're going to have to lose somebody or some bodies. I originally was hoping to not trade any roster players and just trade picks and prospects, but none of these GMs are going to come off of a goaltender like Juusesaros without getting an NHL player in addition to picks and prospects. So with that being said, as tough as it is and as much as I love the kid, I now would be on board with trading Dawson Mercer to bring in Saros. And it's unfortunate that while I thought he was going to be a valuable piece of our core for years to come, Juusesaros helps this roster today much more than Dawson Mercer can. And it's unfortunate. I love Dawson Mercer. I think he's a fiery player. I think he's going to be a great player in this league for a long time. But in the end, he's just going to be another good forward on a team that underperforms annually because we do not have a goalie. And a lot of people are saying, wait till the summer. Their goalies aren't going to get any cheaper. Teams that are looking for goalies are all going to, if they don't address the need this season, they're all going to also still be looking in the summer. And so I think the notion of goalies becoming dramatically, there's going to be some fire sale on goalies come the summer. That's not the case. Teams are going to be looking for monster returns for goalies, whether it's now or in the summer. Maybe you pay a slight premium now, but you know what? I would do it. Once Saros gets moved elsewhere, he's off the board. Then where do you go? There's not a lot of premier goalies that are going to be on the block. And so now, if I am Fitz on this Friday, I get Saros and get him on a plane here for dinner tonight. And I have him in net tomorrow. I don't think it's going to happen. I would love to see it. But if I'm in charge, I'm making the deal with Nashville. I'm getting Saros here, hopefully going on a run to save the season, which would be massive to the team and the fan base. Because as I've said countless times, following up last season with missing the playoffs would be the biggest debacle in franchise history since the 95-96 season when we missed the playoffs after winning the Stanley Cup. Just completely unacceptable. And it's not just like we squeaked into the playoffs last year. We set the franchise record for points, had a historic year, and then beat the Rangers in the first round, and the fan base was fired up again. It felt like we were finally on the comeback trail, only to miss the playoffs the following season. Completely unacceptable. And so now it's time to make a move. It's time to make a ballsy move. Fitz has made a lot of deals where they seemed like no-brainers, at the time at least, and it seemed like we were kind of fleecing the other team to some extent in some of the deals. And not all deals are going to be like that. You know, some deals are the best deals that you're going to make are going to be questioned by people. They're not going to be as obvious wins at the moment. And I think shipping off Dawson Mercer and Seamus Casey and a pick or another prospect, whatever it's going to take, a lot of people are going to say they're not a fan of the deal. And not everyone's going to be a fan of every deal that someone makes. But the team is bleeding for a goalie. Saros is the best guy out there for the job. And his age fits perfectly in with the age of the nucleus of our team. So if we get a Saros and sign him to a 6-8 year extension, something like that, we're set in net for a very long time. And this is not something we have to worry about anymore. And so I am not on board. Markstrom, I think, was more of a deal heavily predicated on saving this season. And I wouldn't want to pay that high price because this season could be lost, unfortunately. And then you're with an aging goaltender who's already, well into his 30s and blah, blah, blah. And I don't like the move anymore. A month or two ago, I probably would have done it with more time to save this season. But now that this season could potentially be lost, Saros is the guy. He helps for this season, and he helps for years to come. I hope he makes the move. It sucks to part with guys like Mercer, but you got to give to get. And unfortunately, at this point, we are in much more need of a legitimate goalie than we are another good forward. And so I thought about this last night. I thought about it this morning. I am now officially on board with trading Dawson Mercer. I never thought it would get to this point. I never thought when these rumors first came up, I was like, oh, these people are on crack. There's no way I'm trading Mercer. But the reality is, if that's what you got to part with to get a Saros here, you got to do it. And you got to do it quick. I would hate to see us wait. This season gets completely away from us. We miss the playoffs, and then we go out and do a move like that in the summer. What is the point at that point? We waited for what? To maybe save a pick or something? I don't know what the point of it would be. I think the time is now, and the team needs a shakeup. The team really needs a shakeup. Lindy last night was the last straw for me. Combined with all the other stuff, I gave him a much longer leash than a lot of you did. Like I said, a lot of you were bloodthirsty and were calling for his head months ago. I gave him some more time and to see how the dust kind of settled. Not impressed. Last night's press conference was kind of the final straw for me, blaming the media for your completely powerless power play, and then kind of storming off. Novo, who was at the forefront of what I'll call Holtzgate a couple months back with his question when Lindy told him he didn't watch the game well. I don't think he even got to ask any questions before Lindy kind of stormed off. And so to me, it just shows that where your mind is at. If you're letting the media, who's just doing their job, and honestly, if this was New York, he'd be getting ripped to shreds with way harder questions. You're in New Jersey with a handful of reporters. There's not much, a real hockey market would be eating lindyruff alive. I don't know what he'd be doing if he was in Montreal, Toronto, any of these places. He would have a mental breakdown up there with the microphone. You're dealing with a handful of reporters in New Jersey. This is pretty much as tame as it gets for a hockey team. And you can't even stand Novo's questions, and you storm off before he gets to ask one. I thought that was Bush League and unacceptable, not professional. I think it just shows that you can't handle the pressure. And with all the things going on right now, unfortunately, I think it's time for a change. I like Lindy. I thought he did a great job last year. I know a lot of the kids, including Jack, love him. But I think it's time for you to go, sir. Your time here is done. This organization needs a real shakeup, and I think it starts with you. And back to the goalie front, I believe Akira Schmid's going to get the start in Utica tonight. I think he's been inactive for a while. Lindy and Fitzy wanted to see him in the net, so I believe Akira Schmid will be starting for the Utica Comets tonight. And assuming he doesn't have a tragic performance, we may see him recalled for the game on Sunday. Obviously, he's not going to play Saturday afternoon after playing a Friday night game. So I do believe we will see him possibly on Sunday or possibly Poulter. I don't know, but it seems like, or who knows, maybe we play Poulter tomorrow and play Dawes on Sunday. I don't know. At this point, the goaltending carousel has become painful to watch. No matter what we do, we may get a decent start here and there, but no one in the net is able to string anything together consistently. And so we're going nowhere. We're going absolutely nowhere with this level of goaltending. It's time to make a move. I hope it's sooner than later. And my heart goes out to a guy like Nico. You know, this is now his 7th season. He made the playoffs once before last year when Taylor Hall single-handedly, and say what you want about Taylor Hall, this is an aside here, but a lot of the fans hate Taylor Hall for everything and how he left and blah, blah, blah. I think that was kind of Bush League when he was mocking the fans, and you know, I wanted him out after that too. I said, see you later, buddy. You can't be pissing in the face of the fans, but that will not that will not prevent me from being completely objective on his season, where in 17-18 he single-handedly dragged this New Jersey Devils team to the playoffs with an absolute stunning season. He dragged that team to the playoffs, won the Hart Trophy, winning the Hart Trophy in the process, and then we got decimated by a powerhouse Tampa Bay Lightning team. That was Nico's first time in the playoffs, and his only other time in the playoffs was last season. We beat the Rangers, great times, fan base riding high, team riding high, and then we flamed out against the Hurricanes in round 2, as you all know. But this is now the 7th season of Nico Hischier, and he has one single playoff round win on his resume to show for it. I've talked about on the program time and time again, nucleuses age and move on or retire much quicker than you think. And in the blink of an eye, we'll all be at Nico Hischier's jersey retirement night, hopefully. Or at least some sort of recognition for him, maybe the Ring of Honor, I don't know. But at some point, as a longtime captain, hopefully, you know, there'll be some sort of recognition for him down the line, and it happens very quickly. And so now we are in year 7 of Nico, about to be finished up, and one single playoff round win in his entire career, that against the Rangers last season, and it's unacceptable. Next year's year 8. To not do anything to bolster the roster really doesn't show a lot of heart by Fitzy or a lot of faith in the group, where he continuously keeps pushing for the future. The fans and the team are tired of hearing about the future. We've been hearing about this for years and years. The future is now. We have Jack Hughes entering his prime. We have Nico. When healthy, we have Dougie. Hopefully, you know, Luke and Nemitz continue to develop with their baptism under fire, learning on the job training, which has been costly this season. But we, unfortunately, with the injuries, we had no way around it. But, you know, and Jesper Bratt and Timo. And so the future is now. I'm tired of hearing about our window in a few years from now and this, that, and the other thing. The window is right now. The window is now. The key pieces are there, and it's up to management to do the fine-tuning and bring in the pieces that we're missing. Probably another defenseman, hopefully of the physical variety. I've said time and time again, we completely missed the boat on Zadorov. He would have been the perfect piece for this team that we needed, and he would have showed his value in a game like last night. He would have been laying the body, and he would have dropped the gloves with anybody who wanted it. Zadorov got traded for practically nothing. That was a huge miss by Fitz, and I'll never forgive him for it. I love guys like Zadorov. I really wanted him in the weeks leading up to when he was dealt, and unfortunately we missed the train on him. We've done nothing else to supplant the defense. And we need, obviously, the goalie we've talked about at length, and we need some gritty forwards. We got tossed around like ragdolls last night up and down the ice, and it's unacceptable. You need a certain level. I'm not saying we need to be the Hanson brothers. We don't need to be the Hanson brothers out there, but there's a sea of difference between the Hanson brothers and what we are. And we are a very soft, sad team right now. We could easily be beat up. The league knows. You go out there and punch the Devils in the mouth, and they're going to fold up and cave. And that's what we did last night. And that needs to change. And so I'd like to see a tough defenseman brought in and a tough forward or two to really round out this roster. I do believe in the key pieces. I'm not giving up on Timo yet like a lot of you. Let's put him at his actual position that we paid him money to come here for. Let's put him on right wing, give him more ice time with better line mates, and see what he could do. But until then, I can't judge a guy who's playing out of position, on a third line sometimes. It's just not fair. And for the people bashing him, he's not being put in the best position for success right now. You have to realize that. That is the reality. He's being set up for a subpar season. That is a fact. Injuries didn't help and yada yada, but that's the game. And so looking forward, the roster needs help. It's I maybe overreacted a little bit last night, but we're basically on life support. We are in the depths of hell right now, I'm coming to you from, and we are in life support. And if something drastic doesn't happen this weekend, it's going to be bye-bye. Lights out, Prudential Center. We'll have no hockey after April. Pathetic. Let me know in the comments what you think about all of this. I know a lot of you are on the Fire Lindy train. Let me know about the game last night. What do you think about the goaltending? What do you think about Fitzy? What else do you think we need? Anything Devils, everything Devils, whatever you got, throw it out in the comments. Love talking to you all, but this one stings, and we are right now in the depths of hell. Hopefully something happens and there's a shakeup. But outside of that, I don't see anything. I think we're going to just fade away into obscurity and miss the playoffs, and it'll be the biggest disaster since the 95-96 season after winning the Cup. Completely unacceptable, completely disgusted. I've had a knot in my stomach all day. I care about this team way more than I should. And, it's a tough pill to swallow. Last night's game was really, really painful and sad to watch. It was really sad. But I will talk to you all soon. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.